Hey, welcome to Taskforce Geek. Today I am joined by Scott.
Howdy.
And Shawn.
Yep.
And that's it. It's just the three of us. Dig that. All the stories and questions that we're talking about tonight were shared on the Taskforce Geek Quora space. Join us there to get a preview of what we could be talking about. Taskforce Geek on Quora now has over 520,000 people following it. It's insane. It's breaking out. None of those people are on our YouTube channel, though.
Well, they need to. They need to get the right way.
Even if just a few of the people on that space right there. See that space right here? See it there? If just a few of those people followed us, I think we're about 26 people away. We are broadcasting live on Facebook.com/Dirk Hooper. That's my site. We're also on the YouTube channel. And hey, by the way, if you follow us on there, 26 people tonight, we could do it tonight. We could do it. 26 people. That would say youtube.com/channel/Taskforce Geek. Something that does actually say that and is super, super cool is the Taskforce Geek Facebook group, which is blowing up. The correct address now is facebook.com/groups/Taskforce Geek. We did it. Congratulations to all of us. We now have about 126 people as we go to broadcast tonight. And by the way, there is a lot of activity on there. If you're not on there, you're missing a lot of good stuff. Shawn is sharing stuff like crazy. I'm sharing stuff like crazy. And fortunately, there's some other people that are sharing a lot of cool stuff too. And welcome. It's super awesome. Keep the stuff coming. Our first story tonight is Lucasfilm reportedly has 9 Star Wars shows in the works for Disney Plus. While the future Star Wars on the big screen is clouded in more uncertainty than it's been for a long time, with Disney recently delaying 3 new movies set in a galaxy far, far away, despite none of them even being officially announced yet, the expansion of the beloved franchise looks set to continue on Disney Plus. The acclaimed revival of The Clone Wars may have only recently wrapped up, but a spinoff is already in the works. With news of the Bad Batch going down like crazy with fans. Meanwhile, the second season of The Mandalorian is scheduled to arrive in the fall, while the hotly anticipated Obi-Wan Kenobi series is hoping to put some recent setbacks in the rearview mirror and start gaining some real momentum. There's also an as-yet untitled show in development from Russian Doll co-creator Leslie Headland, although that one hasn't been without controversy given Headland's very public ties to Harvey Weinstein and some other stuff. But the new rumor claims that there are 9 Star Wars shows currently slated for the Mouse House's streaming service, meaning that they are still several slots left. I almost said another word. Several slots left unoccupied. So to get a take on this story, I'm going to Scott.
I don't know if I have a take. I mean, this is not really news to me. Oh, they have 9 more shows. Well, of course they do. The first one did amazing. It's getting all sorts of crazy awards for whatever reasons. Hi, Casey Jane. And
hey, Casey Jane, I like that hairdo.
And making Star Wars shows is pretty close to printing money, right? I mean, like that's going to probably be the big hook to keep everybody on Disney Plus. I mean, everybody's really cool with watching The Cat from Outer Space and all these, maybe some classics.
Yeah.
Hey, I recently watched that. I don't know if I talked about that on here.
You did not.
It is a way longer movie and paced totally different than
Hi to Sean's
than
mom.
what I remember.
Yeah, those were made a long time ago.
Yeah,
Maryann Childress says hi.
Howdy.
I like that avatar.
Like I said, it's no surprise. The Mandalorian was just the first. They could have put anything out and we would have watched it and people would have clamored for it and got on there. Now, taking the direction the Mandalorian did with the whole Baby Yoda thing and everything was, I think, a good direction because it had almost no ties to the other stuff except in the Easter eggs.
Right.
So no shock here. I think we're going to get to a point where like you're going to have a Disney show premiere and they're gonna, crank it out where they do that weekly release, that slow release, the slow burn, and then you're probably gonna have a month off, and then a new show's gonna start and do the same thing over and over again. And we're just
because they need to keep those subscriptions coming.
Sure, and we will be there to maybe purchase it especially if it's good.
Yeah,
Howdy,
Ronnie. Shawn, what do you think?
I'm kind of in the same ballpark as Scott. This is a no-brainer. We knew that they were going to start churning out project after project after project. Now, will all of these be made? No. Some of them are going to die in development. That's all well and fine. We did get a home run with The Mandalorian. I sincerely hope that they extend the episodes. 30 minutes is just not enough for me. So
they were a little short.
Hopefully,
Scott liked that though.
I really like that. I'd rather them be in like 30-minute parts with a couple of episodes that say to be continued and keep you wanting it than like, I don't need a 2-hour show every time, but that's just me. I'm a different TV watcher than most people.
Yeah, I don't need a 2-hour, but definitely a 45-minute to a 50-minute episode. That would be
killer. It'd
kill me. That's average. That's what everything is practically.
I do not have 45 minutes to watch TV. I'm not their target audience, Shawn, but you are right. Other people would probably love a 45-minute show.
Absolutely. I am one of them. So, I fully anticipated a lot more projects to be put on the dartboard, so to speak. But again, of all of these projects, we're not going to see all of them. That they're not going to get it 9 going. That would be cool, but I don't see them getting all of those going. And that's fine. That's cool.
I mean, isn't that the normal though? That you have all these ideas, you do a pilot, and then if it goes through the test audience and makes it, then you pick and choose. These
Absolutely.
7 are great. These other ones are okay. Let's stick with the 7 great ones.
If you look at just broadcast TV, how many shows had like 3 episodes and then were dumped because nobody cared, nobody watched them.
You guys are all fools. 45 minutes. Go do something. Go outside.
Oh my! Wow. Gary says 45 minutes. Jennifer says that's why I watch TV without Scott.
And that's fine. I choose to waste my time differently. That's for sure.
Well, at least that's honest.
It's still wasting time.
Some of the other things that have been mentioned, and I've seen these things mentioned this week, is a solo series with the people from the movie, which, I mean, I think there's enough meat in that world that they created there, particularly with the girl from Game of Thrones. I'd like to see what happens with her. Actually, I'm more interested in her than Han Solo, to be honest.
Guys,
and Darth Maul, that would be cool to see him show up in something like that.
Remember when we were kids and CBS or ABC or somebody would have, what did they call? It was like a 5-part series that only came on during like 1 week, and we watched it like 5 days in a row. Do you remember what those were called?
Just a little mini series.
Were they just called miniseries? I thought they were called something else. I think they called
them miniseries, like Shogun was a miniseries.
Well, maybe maybe in some of all those ideas that they have, maybe a few of them are there. So therefore we get like, for somebody like Shawn who wants a good 3.5-hour movie, they can break it up into, mini parts, and we get them at 45 minutes at a time for only 5 weeks or something.
Walt says it's used to be called a miniseries. Gary says, Scott, you only go outside if you're forced. I think you went to being a dad there for a second.
I thought that was my job.
Go outside and play. Walt says that G.I. Joe debuted with a 5-day miniseries.
I thought they called them something else like maxi series or I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy.
No.
Yes.
I've also heard that the Gina Carano part in Mandalorian is being floated as a series. I'm all for that. I think that's cool. I'd like to see more of her for sure.
I'm just saying I wouldn't mind seeing more smaller. We're going to tell you a story and end it without having a series. Kind of like think of Rogue One, but in like 4 parts of something, like just a story, a mission, like the Red Squadron going out and doing something and being done. That'd be awesome. So.
I'd be for that too. The funny thing is that, a year ago we had nothing, and now, we're talking 9 series. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. I think that the Leslie Headland series is doomed to be canceled before it even started for numerous reasons, which we don't necessarily have to go in right now. But, then again, if you got 9 series, I'm fine with them experimenting and having a bunch of crazy, series that I wouldn't be interested in. I'm fine with that.
Well, let's think about this too. This might be the way to watch entertainment for a while with the state of the world right now and people, with theaters and the disease that shall not be named. Maybe they're just invested more into this side of it so we can, that's how we're watching movies now is at home versus, going to theaters. So, yeah.
And yes, we're talking about nerd stuff.
It's kind of
you're absolutely right, and it's very clear that this has become the new way for streaming services to attract a crowd. CBS All Access is doing the exact same thing. They're cranking out as many Star Trek series as they can get their hands on. It looks like now we're going to get 3 live action series. They're going to have Discovery and Picard, and a new series with the Enterprise crew that was introduced in Discovery, plus animated series. And who knows, that may not be the end of it. Apparently spending $50 to $100 million on 15 episodes or something is worth it. Apparently they're getting their money back.
Well, your audience is at home right now.
Yeah,
they're not at the theaters. That's what I'm saying.
That's absolutely right. We're going to,
or at least not in America,
about that, right? Yeah, yeah.
But they don't have to share any of the pot with a television channel, being that they're all running their own streaming services. They get all the booty. It's all their money. It's going directly back to them as opposed to having to share with AMC, CBS, NBC, so on and so forth.
Yeah. There will be an implosion at some point, though, because some of these things, Peacock is a good example. Some of these things are not really offering a lot, and CBS All Access is only offering Star Trek. If you're not interested in Star Trek, why would you be on? You want to watch I Love Lucy? They're the exclusive streaming service of I Love Lucy.
Is Peacock real?
Yes.
Oh, I thought that was like a made up, funny thing, like an Onion article or something.
Dude.
Unfortunately, no.
Oh, okay. I'm really with it, folks.
Gary says, I have way more faith in Disney Plus Star Wars series than I do a Star Wars movie. Right now,
amen.
What's happening on Disney Plus is a step above what's coming out in the theater, which is kind of crazy.
Only for another year.
You think so?
What's happening in a year?
Yeah.
A certain head of the studio will most likely no longer be.
Yeah, Kathleen Kennedy will be escorted out of the building.
Yeah. And
people are even, we've talked about this, about George Lucas is supposed to be coming back to save Star Wars, guys.
Oh, gosh.
That's not happening. Anyone who's floating that rumor, that ain't happening. It's cute. It's cute.
But the people that they do have working on it, I think I've got all the faith in the world in Favreau and Filoni. I think they're going to do great things with it once
the
board has been
definitely
cleared.
I agree with that. Walt says that the Twilight Zone is pretty good, which I haven't watched, so it could be awesome. I like his movies. Gary says, look at Quibi. All their episodes are 5 to 7 minutes. Hey, that is the Scott Network.
I could watch a whole season.
You sure could. A whole season of nothing.
Unfortunately, that Quibi stocks are tanking, and I think they're on their way out.
Yes, because 5 to 7 minutes doesn't allow you to establish squat. It's trash. Sorry. See ya. Besides Scott, the 5 to 7 people or the 5 to 7 minutes thing is aimed at a certain crowd, and that crowd is below the age of let's say 25, and that crowd is not spending money on anything.
Right.
They are going to YouTube, or they're going to TikTok, or they're whatever. They're stealing it on the dark web, but they're certainly as heck not spending money on a monthly service. They don't care. Hey, to Jeree.
Hello.
Howdy.
Let's get on to the next subject, which is kind of tangentially related. The Mandalorian lands 15 Emmy nominations. Hey now. Jon Favreau's Star Wars themed Disney Plus series, The Mandalorian, earned 15 Emmy nominations, including outstanding drama series and, of course, visual effects. No surprise, it will definitely, I'm telling you right now, stick a fork in it. It will win for visual effects because of their what they call the holodeck stuff that they had on there. And other nominations, including outstanding production design for a narrative program, outstanding cinematography for a single camera series, outstanding fantasy sci-fi costumes, 3 separate nominations for outstanding single camera picture editing for a drama series, outstanding prosthetic makeup for a series, limited series, movie, or special, outstanding sound editing and animation, outstanding sound mixing for a comedy or drama series, and outstanding music composition, which it also will probably win because that music is pretty good. And finally, outstanding stunt coordination for a drama series. Not bad. Let's go.
I kind of find it hard to believe.
Why?
I mean, well, you two knuckleheads, or at least Dirk hasn't watched the whole series yet.
It's my bad.
I would love to talk about this ad nauseum, but it's okay. It's not the greatest thing ever. I mean, what are they comparing it to? Other TV shows? And I mean, if they are, maybe then I'll go, sure, because I don't watch a lot of TV.
That's usually how award shows work.
Yeah, dude. Production wise, The Mandalorian is quite impressive.
No, I agree with that.
You may not like the acting, or you may although no,
there's a couple of A teams where they scribbled out the A team scripts, the names from the A team, and they just wrote over it we're gonna put Mandalorian here in this role and this role. And I mean, it's definitely 80. Some of those episodes are 80 shows. I enjoyed them,
but
if everybody says they enjoy them, that's okay.
That's very much by design, though. I mean, it was supposed to play an old Western from the 60s, not even the 80s. That. It was supposed to play I don't know, name a Western from the 60s.
Star Trek.
Old Ben?
Right.
No, that's a story about...
Star Trek was what they called Wagon Train in the Stars.
Okay. Well, I mean, it's fine. I enjoyed it. I was just shocked to hear it win so many awards. I'm not saying it's not deserving because I couldn't tell you.
Well, it's just nominated. So. You said win it. It's just been nominated.
I'm sorry, nominated. Okay, that's fair. I'll shut up.
All right, Sean. That's okay, man. Sean, what do you think?
I don't agree that it should be nominated for all those. If it is being nominated for all those, I am curious about the rest of the field. Does it deserve it? Sure. It was a fun show. It had me hooked from the very first episode. I liked all the characters. I liked everything about it. It took me back to what Star Wars used to be.
Yeah.
And that's all I've ever asked for.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And it was fun. It was entertaining. It introduced a bunch of characters. One of the things about The Mandalorian that I like so much, which, getting back to Rogue One, it had nothing to do with the Skywalker saga.
Sure. So
to be free to just explore that universe, amen. I loved it. I want to see more of that universe. I mean, we played, pen and paper dice games back in the Star Wars dice games back in the day, RPG role-playing games, whatever.
Yeah, we used to call them role-playing games before video games took over that phrase and made it irrelevant.
And that it reinvigorated a lot of that enjoyment that I had. So, I'm all for it. Give it as many awards as it can, make the episodes longer, and keep taking my money.
I think, well, first I'll say that technically speaking, The Mandalorian was like a cheaper version of a major motion picture. The production design on that was really excellent. Mm-hmm. Speaking of the story, there's not one episode that blew my mind in any way. It is it is A-team episode level, weekly, whatever. Very simple plots or whatever. But I think that's very much by design. Do I want my mind blown by Star Wars? I could be looking for that, on other things. So, I'm fine with the simplicity and how well they just kind of gave us what we wanted, I think, with The Mandalorian. Simple, give me some action, interesting characters, stay away from all of the other stuff because it's not necessary, and give us some stories, in another part of the universe.
It was very role-playing
it was.
Like they were role playing and they said, we ought to just everything about it was like, we're sitting back in our living room with a giant big gulp and a bag of chips. And all of a sudden he goes, okay, you going to open it up? And he's like, sure. What's in there? Well, it's the same race as Yoda, but it's a baby. And you're going, holy crap, mind blown, because so yeah, I agree. It feels, I'm just going to say what I thought about it anyways. Is like, I thought it felt like a role-playing game, and it was it was different enough. It had very little ties to the old stuff, just like you would if you were playing a role-playing game. Like, remember the little pig guys? Well, this guy used to work for the Empire, and he's going to help you out and stuff like that. The Ugnaughts. Overall, I saw it late, so I got to hear everybody rant and rave about how wonderful it was, and probably if I watched it right when it came out with the excitement everybody else did, my opinion might be different too.
Right.
So when there was a few episodes that were very...
Please compare it, though, to like the old Ewok series.
Well,
or the droid series. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's what we had when we were growing up.
No, you're right.
And I don't think they hold
up, but we love Battle of Endor.
The difference in quality is stunning.
Oh, it is.
If I was 13 years old, I would be, pooping my pantaloons over
all I'm
how
saying is
amazing this thing is.
If you were 13 years old, you wouldn't care because it would be the norm.
Maybe.
True.
Maybe I would be spoiled with, whatever.
I just thought there was like 3 episodes that very well just reminded me of like an old Knight Rider episode or this and that. I'm not saying they were terrible. It's just like, I'm old.
I agree with that.
I've lived through this story already.
And
sometimes when you play role-playing games, you get the same kind of story. You know where it's going. You know who's going to betray who. And I'm not saying it's wrong. It was just like, I already knew how the story was going to finish. And that's okay. Sometimes that happens.
You. Yeah.
It was good. It was not great.
I don't think it's breaking any barriers or anything.
I thought Rogue One was great.
But what you got to remember
the Mandalorian was really good.
Is this was a test. let's try
For sure.
something. Let's see if it works. And if it doesn't, no harm, no foul. If it does, now we can improve on it. Now we can throw some more money into it. Now we can get some other directors. We can get some other characters. We can do more with it. And I think that's all you're seeing as far as stories and whatnot. Yeah, I'm sure I'm sure they looked at old A-Team and what else was there? Riptide and just whatever
Riptide's not too far. I talked about the Rockford Files. It kind of feels a little bit like that.
I'm sure there's a lot of recycling going on.
Episodic and whatever.
That's okay.
Yeah. In the end, this was their test, and it exploded. It turned out to be fantastic.
Let's get some comments from our viewers out here. Jerry says about Queeby, or about maybe millennials. They have the attention to gnats.
I kind of do too.
Maryann says, how did you know I was lurking on the dark web? About all of the awards and stuff. Walt says win. Keep going. Gary says spaghetti western in space. Yes, fills the void in what they created when Firefly got canceled.
Okay,
Hallelujah.
That's fair.
Hallelujah. That's absolutely right. Yeah, there is kind of a direct link between Firefly and what they're doing on The Mandalorian. They're both based on Western, so that's a good point. Gary says the rest of the field is reality TV and dumb game shows.
Oh God.
Corey says it blew his little mind. Here's the list that The Mandalorian is against for best drama series, I'm assuming, and that brings up another subject that I wanted to talk about. He says, here's the list. The Mandalorian is against Better Call Saul, The Crown, Handmaid's Tale, again, Killing Eve, The Mandalorian, Ozark, Stranger Things, and Succession. The Handmaid's Tale's won a few times. I don't know. Better Call Saul has done some stuff. It's probably not. I
haven't seen one episode of all those other things combined.
It's probably not going to win best drama series, but just to get nominated is pretty great.
Shawn, you got to live life. You can't do it in front of the couch.
And strangely, I don't.
What I wanted to mention is that there's a lot of representation of genre stuff that was nominated this time around. The leader on nominations is, drum roll please, Watchmen. Watchmen has the most nominations of any of the series, and I think it's going to take some stuff, because I'll tell you what, has anyone here seen Watchmen? There is no way that it could be more relevant in so many ways than right now, with all of the stuff, the
politically,
the police wearing masks and riots, and it's set in Tulsa, and it opens with the incident in the place they call Black Wall Street. It's about racial tensions. It's about identity. There's just so much that there's who would have known that the Watchmen of all things would have ended up being so damn relevant. And because of that, I think it's going to take those awards. But that's another great. It's not, the Watchmen is not an adaptation of the Alan Moore graphic novel. It is a continuation of the story, and very much different. And it has those characters, and it's set in that universe, but it's much smaller story, and frankly, maybe more interesting, to be honest, and certainly more relevant. So I think that it's going to do quite well. And that's not the only series that's out there that is science fiction or fantasy that or based on comics that has been nominated. There's actually quite a few. The Handmaid's Tale is science fiction, and some other stuff. So I'm glad to see science fiction and fantasy getting represented in these awards. It's pretty cool.
Unfortunately, I think Watchmen's already been canceled.
Really?
Well, they've done their series. They did one season. It's kind of set up to be, it could be kind of a standalone sort of thing. But if they figure they got more story in them, they might go with it. If it wins a bunch of awards, then watch out. Maryann says, what about the Star Wars Christmas special?
I've watched that recently. I made my children watch that. And boy,
that is almost...
we've struggled.
You could almost get like the DHS called on you for making them watch that.
It's so... It has the guy that pours the drinks in his head, though. I mean, like, I'll never forget that.
That thing... that has B. Arthur.
Yes.
Like, for more than 30 seconds.
If...
It has like, isn't Art Carney in it?
Yes. If they would have played that on like Saturday morning, we would have turned the channel to watch like really bad Hanna-Barbera animation cartoons.
We would have gone out to play.
Right. It has.
I remember watching that thing.
What's Chewbacca's kids' names? Chubby or Spanky or something like that?
Flip Bomb.
No, it's a terrible name. I'm looking it up now.
Axle Grease.
It's terrible.
Crud Knuckle.
It's not bad. It's Lumpy. It's just as bad. Lumpy.
All right.
I mean, like,
say so.
They couldn't come up with a better name for his kid than Lumpy.
I like coming up with the names, frankly.
Well,
I'm entertaining
names
myself.
was different enough that anybody would have known the difference.
It could have been in the it could have been in the series, and it would have been okay. It was so the only thing that was cool, since we're on this subject, the only thing that was cool about the Star Wars Christmas special was the animated parts, which had the debut of Boba Fett. And it had that funky gun that ended up being in the Mandalorian series, which is pretty cool.
Yeah,
that was his introduction.
Mandalorian reminds Gary of Galaxy Rangers. Galaxy Rangers, anyone?
I love Galaxy Rangers.
Anyone?
Yeah, good cartoon.
Walt says he's seen it all, and he says they're all good shows. But what's the best?
Oh my gosh, Walt!
What's the best, Walt?
Walt, you need to come up and hang out with me so you don't have to watch TV.
Amy says that The Watchmen is so good and weird. It is super weird. It is. It has these. You think for a moment that you've kind of got the theme down and what's going to happen in that show, and then something, just to remind you that it's set in a comic book universe, something will drop in from the sky, or like, what was it? Was it frogs or whatever that were falling from the sky, or it's just weird stuff. Like, they get like a weather alarm and like frogs drop out of the sky. It's just weird stuff. Anyway, I have not seen all of The Watchmen. I have this habit of watching like half of like a season of everything.
And then you never watch it again and say, we'll talk about it later when I watch it.
I'll say we'll talk about it later. And by that, I mean like in 2030.
Right.
Just like I did with Firefly. It took me 10 years to see all of Firefly. Walt says Watchmen's kind of canceled. Gary says Watchmen was fantastic. Such an incredibly well-made show. I totally agree. At least what I see. Walt is backing us up on the Christmas special that Boba Fett was the only cool thing. And it was, if they had just done like the animated stuff for 1 hour, that would have been pretty cool. But having like B. Arthur sing in the cantina, that ain't doing it for me, folks. Having like a 12-minute episode where someone's baking something, it's like a baking episode.
Yep.
Section. I only vaguely remember all of this, but it's
on really, YouTube. Watch the whole thing.
It's grindingly terrible. Sometimes
you have to visit.
It's not terrible. Like, oh, this is hilarious. It's not that. Please do not watch it because you think, wow, it's so terrible it will be entertaining.
I don't remember who
it
did
is
it,
not.
But it was done by somebody who did variety shows.
Yes, it was done by a very old white dude who,
For sure.
at that time, who thought, I'm going to get B. Arthur and Art Carney. That the kids will love it.
Sometimes you have to go watch the past so you relax.
To appreciate how good we have it. Seriously,
yes.
The worst possible thing that we name, whatever it is, the worst thing we have on right now is 10 million times better than the Christmas special. 10 million times better. I mean, what people bitch about now is stunning. Right. You know, it's stunning. Star Wars Christmas special was like Star Wars had a fling with Heehaw. Yeah, good times.
Yeah,
good times. Maryann says, I just know it was bad. And one time I asked my dad about it, and he went, never speak about that. Walt says it was squids. Squids were falling from squid storms. Squids were falling from the sky in Watchmen. Maryann says aliens. Amy says, I was like, WTF. Yeah, it's that sort of weirdness. Ronnie says Frognado. I'm sure that was a sci-fi series. And
I believe you're referring
Tony
to
says it needs to be remade. The Christmas special. Well, it would be better now. I mean, I'm confident. It's almost impossible to make it so terrible. Let's get on to the next subject. What do you say?
Please.
What's happening at Scott's ready to move on. What is happening at IDW? I'm going to say right now, we probably don't know. The answer to this question is we don't know. Days after being announced as publisher at IDW, following the departure of Chris Ryall, Judd Myers has been placed on administrative leave, The Hollywood Reporter can confirm. Before his promotion to publisher, Myers served as IDW's global sales director since joining the company in August 2019. That's not too long ago. Prior to that, he had also worked as director of sales and marketing at Humanoids. He also worked as a comic book retailer with Blastoff Comics, a California store co-owned by Myers and IDW writer Scott Tipton, as well as Earth 2 Comics. Just in case you don't know, I mean, IDW does a bunch of cool comics, including Transformers and a bunch of other stuff. They pick up a lot of the kind of properties that, Dark Horse or Marvel.
Yeah, they have Transformers. They have the old G.I. Joe line that's from the Marvel days, and then they have their own new G.I. Joe stuff, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I believe they're doing My Little Pony. I could be wrong on that, but I think they're still doing that. They have a lot of series out there. They're even doing stuff for Marvel. Like Marvel's farming out stuff for them to make like kids books on Star Wars and Marvel books. So
Yep. To go back to the guy who left, another story said IDW Entertainment reported a substantial financial loss in 2019. Although it projected in January of this year, how about this projection that it would achieve, quote, steadily profitable operations in 2021. That prediction came ahead of the Backstreet Boys reunion tour, which has led to a number of layoffs throughout the company. Does anyone want to take this? Does anyone have an answer to what is happening at IDW? And we'll throw that out to our followers too.
No. It just sounds like there's either money issues behind the scenes, and some heads are rolling, and usually when this happens, the big heads get chopped first, and then they start going down the pyramid. I don't know. Maybe the disease that cannot be named is hurt sales. I have no idea. I think it's really weird that they promoted this guy and then removed this guy. So. Yeah. Like I'm just recently learning all about, and I'm talking like recently in the last week, about Gamersgate and Comicsgate and all these weird gate things out there. So who knows if there's like some type of past interaction he's had with an employee or many employees, tweet or ill-advised tweet that was, in his past that somebody brought to the forefront after the promotion.
Right.
I don't know, and time will tell. Or if probably what they want. They want everybody just to forget about it and move on. I don't know. I mean, sales, all I can tell you is we carry IDW books at Wizards Asylum in Norman, and for what we order in, we sell what we, not a lot of it sits on the shelf, but we order everything tight good. Anyways. I mean, so like they're not killing us, that's for sure. So
Shawn, you got a thought on this? Should I go to you?
Everything that I've read, there are no answers. There's nothing.
Yeah, I'm not seeing anything either, to be honest.
I don't know. It seems to me like everybody, this whole cancel culture thing is kind of running its course throughout the industry, and I'm kind of curious if he may have said something or done something in the past. They didn't notice it whenever they advanced him to the position, and then something was brought up, and they're like, "Oh crap, we better get ahead of this." I don't know. There's too much vagueness in
they didn't vet him.
What is being reported? Yeah, I mean, it's like, oh well, just put that guy in the chair, and then somebody said, "Hold up on that."
Right. Hold my beer.
No idea. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's going
on. I think maybe if you want to read between the lines here, IDW was obviously having financial problems last year. I can promise you that whatever's happening at IDW, it's not better right now because the entire comic industry is having more trouble. I think that the head guy who had been there for a long time, what is his name? Chris Ryall, he has been with IDW for a long time and built them up to wherever he is. I think him leaving the ship was kind of like, leaving a sinking ship sort of thing. I could be wrong on that. Might have just found another opportunity out there. And then, yeah, I mean, I think maybe the idea of maybe some bad tweets or maybe some Me Too issues or maybe something. I mean, I don't know. Maybe they're just really super in trouble financially. And this is how they're dealing with it the best they can. When the money is not rolling in, it sure exposes a lot of stuff really quickly, which could be buried with a good payroll or whatever. Mm-hmm. Walt talks about IDW is the Hasbro verse. Yeah. Has Jim and the holograms. Anyone? Jim and the holograms? Mm-hmm. Maryann says maybe legal issues. Maybe. Could be.
I mean, I think it's unfair to say right now because we just don't know.
Yeah, we really don't know. It's just it's interesting. I got to be honest with you. Everyone's hurting in comics is going through a really tough time, and some of the big people out there are leaving major publishers because they can make a heck of a lot more money running Kickstarters or Indiegogo campaigns. And the big boys are they're having some big difficulties in trying to reach out to a younger crowd in the worst possible way, which is by reaching out and doing it the way they're doing it, they're alienating their older crowd and stuff. Comics are in some trouble, folks.
Well, corporate comics are in trouble.
Yeah, I think
is the way to go at this point.
Clearly, independent comics in some cases are doing really well. On an individual basis, some independent comics that are marketing directly to the consumer are doing quite well through Kickstarter or Indiegogo. Tony says they're still making comic books, so as long as they're good and they don't ramp up the price, I think we're probably looking at a price ramp up in our near future.
Yeah, I think so too.
Kennedy says, Mike, and hey, we got to see Mike a few days ago. It's good to see you, man. And thanks for chiming in here. On IDW, he says they put out a few good titles. Management will just have to deal with this politically correct culture. That might be part of it. Walt suggests that it could be all of the above, everything that we just mentioned, and maybe more. Could be, like an alien taking over the company.
Right.
I'm ready to
Mind
give
control.
the aliens a shot at, hurting us around.
Maybe they have a better plan.
They might. I mean, why not?
Mike agrees with Walt. Maryann says it's all out in the air, rough as it is at the moment. Scott says, I do not want to hear IDW going bad. They published Donald, Uncle Scrooge, and Disney.
That they do.
I mean, it's pretty clear that they are kind of picking up where some of the other publishers are not. And Scott just told us that they sell through where they're at. I mean, that's a good sign. Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that. See, we're getting some info here. Walt says that their main printer in Canada has a huge backlog. Mike's seconding what we talk about. Maybe it's time for everyone else to step up a little bit and carry the comic book industry. This means you, all of you watching,
Me?
all of us, and everyone watching. Yeah, let's do it. Let's save the comic industry. Let's do it together.
I think the biggest problem is to get the young readers to buy a comic book.
To put their iPad down and pick a comic up. I agree with that. And, and not just that, but, books, just read in general. Read. Don't have everything handed to you, whether it's books or comics or whatever. It's got to be tough.
Turn off some of your streaming services and read.
Yeah.
Don't watch so many shows.
Yeah.
Read.
Yeah. I did it the other day for several hours. It was kind of fun. I was actually looking at old comics, and I was doing it kind of as a research thing to kind of figure some stuff out. But it was fun to look at some stuff from, a while ago and see what they were doing and compare to what they're doing now. Yeah, Walt says to read in general. All right, guys, let's get on to the next subject. What do you say?
Yep.
This is bound to be something that Shawn is into. Judge Dredd TV series written, but on hold due to the Backstreet Boys reunion tour. That's for you, Casey Jane. Jason Kingsley, who heads the company which produces 2000 AD comics starring Judge Dredd, told the apocalyptic YouTube chat show V2A Emergency Broadcast System that what a nice succinct title for that show, guys. They said that the script has been written for a TV series set in Mega City 1. I believe it was going to be called Mega City 1, the post-nuclear state in which Judge Dredd lives, but the project is on hold due to the pandemic. Quote, I want there to be a sequel to the 2012 movie Dredd. We've got the rights back so we can do it. We've just got to get rid of this virus thing that's going on at the moment, and then hopefully things can kick off in all sorts of different areas of making film and TV. It's all very messed up at the moment for everybody, he said. A lot of work has been done on all sorts of scripts, actually. So Mega City 1, the TV show, he added, basically we can't go into production because of the issue we've been talking about. And we've got scripts and everything's ready to go. But the problem is because of the pandemic and everyone's funding changes and everyone is shifting around. So to go to this first, because again, I know that because I've talked to him many times, I'm going to Shawn.
What was the question? Sorry.
Just, what do you think about this?
Are you sad?
Oh God, no.
I'm upset?
Ecstatic. With it being put on hold, I mean everything's on hold. So
do you think this will kill this project or help it, or?
I don't think it's going to do anything one way or the other. I think the fanfare for the Karl Urban Dredd has been going on for 8 years. So yeah. I mean, everybody's still frothy over this. It is by far the best incarnation of Dredd, I think, that has been on the big screen. Obviously, Stallone had his attempt, and that was Horde. But yeah, yeah, Dredd was fantastic. It was beautifully, I think, written. It was beautifully shot. Everything about it was just fantastic. So for them to still be as excited and passionate about continuing with that story or that universe, I should say. Yeah, that excites me. I'm not worried about it being put off right now due to the events that are occurring right now.
Right.
Because that's affecting everybody. Everything is pushed back. Everything is put on hold.
That's actually our next subject if we make it to it.
That doesn't really bother me. In fact, I want to say I saw a post today on Facebook where Karl Urban was holding up a helmet from the actual set. He's still excited about the.
Yeah, he has never not been excited about doing more Judge Dredd.
Yeah,
and is there anyone on this planet that's better suited for that character?
No, he was fantastic. He understood the character. He understood all of the minutia about the character. He got it. He understood it, and he played that part better than anybody I can think of that could have played that character. He was fantastic. So yeah, I'm eager. Let's do this.
To answer Ronnie's question, in that article, they specifically mentioned that they would very much like for Karl Urban to show up on the Mega City One show. It will not just focus on Judge Dredd. It will focus on several of the judges and some, like Judge Anderson. And they've specifically mentioned the woman who played Judge Anderson in the movie as well.
Johnny Alpha, there's Judge Death, Judge,
bunch of characters and stuff in that 2000 AD.
What's the lizard one look like? I can't remember his name. There's like a lizard one.
There's a lot of story. I mean,
from the old stories at least.
Yeah, I mean, Judge Dredd's been around a long time. They got a lot of stories to tell. If and maybe that's the best indicator that we're going to get Karl Urban is that he doesn't have to commit to a full-time series. He's obviously busy with The Boys and doing films and other things.
He has expressed the only thing that would keep him away would be other obligations. And if he is going to be a like a guest appearance, or maybe he gets one episode, or whatever the deal, yeah, we're gonna see Karl Urban put on the helmet again.
Walt says that he doesn't count Stallone's version. In that article, they said they'd like to get Stallone to show up in the thing too. So it sounds like they're going to have fun with it if they get to do it.
If they bring him in as somebody else, not as Dredd,
I think that would
be fantastic.
It's just have him play, some other character.
That would be fun. They could do.
And what else has Stallone got going on, really?
Well,
14 more.
I'm sure there's
Expendables, another few Rocky movies.
I'm sure he wants to do another Rambo.
More Rambos. Final Blood.
Let's hope not. Good Lord.
Absolutely. We're not kidding. Final. This is it. Blood. Tony said that Karl Urban Dredd was freaking awesome.
Mm-hmm.
He just watched it again the other day. Walt says that Karl's a huge fan of Judge Dredd. Yeah, I mean, he has been very vocal about wanting to play that character again. Oh yeah, Tony says they had a Strontium Dog and Judge Dredd demo at the con this past weekend. How did that go? Tell us. Stallone needs to be a bad guy. Stallone to be a good bad guy. Mm-hmm. Yeah, or maybe a senior judge. He probably wouldn't want to be called a senior judge, although it definitely applies. It definitely applies. Anyway, look, we haven't talked about Judge Dredd on here, but I think that this is going to happen. There's a lot of talk. There's been a lot of talk about this. for a while now. They said they've written the episodes. They're ready to go. It hasn't been attached to anything as far as I know. Has anyone heard about it going to Amazon Prime or Hulu or
I don't think it's been shopped
Netflix
around.
okay. I mean, there's plenty of places where it could go to. Might end up on the BBC or something. I don't know. HBO Max. So many places it could go. I think it's probably going to happen, but we're going to have to wait. Which brings us to our next subject. Here it comes. Everything is delayed.
No, duh.
Everything. What are you interested in? Well, wait a little bit. So, for example, I mean, like daily you get updates on stuff, and we've covered it many, many times on here. And at a certain point, it's like, I'll talk about it when it's out. Tenet is delayed, although it has another, it has an international date, and then we're supposed to get it in the United States maybe a week later or something. I'll believe it when I see it. Black Widow's been delayed multiple times. Wonder Woman 1984, because Black Widow is delayed, they're delaying the entire Marvel lineup of Disney Plus stuff, although that is ready to go. I mean, at the very least, the Falcon and the Winter Soldier has been ready to launch for quite some time, but we're going to have to wait on that. Just to the group or to whoever's watching, how long is it going to take for us to get back into movie theaters?
When people feel like it's safe.
It'll never happen. If you go by that, it'll never happen.
Well, I mean, then
some
maybe
people
this
will never
is just
feel
life.
safe again.
This might just be life for a while until my kids grow up old enough to be adults, and they're used to living in this world where they have to wear a mask everywhere they go, and that's just a normal routine. People don't like this. I get it, but we might have to just. I'm willing to wear a mask for the next 2 years if for the rest of my life I don't have to. Let's all work on this together and do our best. I don't know.
So you say 2 years? We're going to have to put up with this?
I hope not. I hope it's less than that, but let's be realistic.
What if tomorrow they announce that they're in the third phase of testing
a vaccine
for vaccines.
Good. They can give it to the first volunteers because I'm not going to get something weird by the first. I don't buy the first run of a PlayStation, let alone some chemical you're going to inject into my body.
I feel that way too. I'm certainly not going to be first in line for that.
That's right.
I know some people be anxious to do that.
They might have a frog grow out of their face too for taking that in. About
they might get superpowers.
Well, they could.
Have you ever considered that?
Well, I would get the superpowers when I'd be flying, and they would quit in the middle of me flying, and then I'd crash to my death.
Like the greatest American hero.
Oh, except I wouldn't survive.
Well, he wasn't vulnerable. He was just really lousy at flying.
Oh, God.
Maryann says she's waiting for Morbius. Remember Morbius? That was supposed to already be out by now.
Mm-hmm.
Mike says that October looks like the big push. I mean, right now it does.
Until we get to closer to October, and then we're all going to be saying December.
Yep. Walt says, preach, Scott, preach about the masks and stuff. Yeah, drive-in theater technology. I'd go see a drive-in. I would be glad to go see Tenet at the drive-in theater.
Well, that's true. I mean, this could bring back the drive-ins.
That would be fun.
I didn't think about that, Mike.
I'm fine with that. Wasn't Walmart doing drive-in movies in their parking lots?
That was part of a plan. I don't think they've actually instigated it.
I mean, why not? Just get a big screen and project it on there and let us go watch some movies that way. That's cool. The seat in my car is much more comfortable than the seat that they have in the most theaters. Jennifer says that Regal opens back on August 21st. They announced it today.
We'll see though.
John says the Japanese wear masks every flu season. They just see it as part of life. That's true. I've seen pictures of Japan and they are. I mean, since the bird flu, which was about 2012, wasn't it? Is that right? 2008, 2012? I don't know.
Some of the stuff I've read says that if they feel themselves to be ill, they wear the mask as opposed to the entire society wearing masks.
How about that idea? How about you feel bad, you stay home or put a mask on?
But
Not
people
a bad
don't do
idea.
that around here. The
Come
stigma
on, man.
is you tough through it. You tough through it. You hack
that is
welcome to American culture.
Basic level
No, I know
stuff.
it is. Hey, we're spoiled. We are.
I was at a bookstore, and someone who was probably the manager was walking around with someone that she was training, and she sounded like she had tuberculosis. I mean, she could not stop coughing, and it's like, she had no mask or anything. It's like, and she had someone who was literally 2 feet away from her. It's like, how is this happening? How is this? It's 2020, folks. How is this happening? Mike agrees with you.
Look at that.
Gary says this time next year we'll be back at sporting events and movies. That's Gary's prediction is give it a year. I think that's probably
realistic.
pretty good. I think that's as good a prediction as anything, particularly if you get the vaccine or something, or we just learn how to, act more like adults. Although, that may not happen. Jeree says, I'm willing to wear a mask until I feel safe. Vaccine with superpowers. She's ready for it.
Wow. Look at all you people.
Walt says, we've got a drive-in down here, the Coyote. Ooh, that's so much cooler than the Winchester. Every screen is a double feature. Yeah, let's have some double features. Show us an old movie and show me Tenet.
Like Cat from Outer Space and then Tenet.
Right. That's a great double feature. Mike says they have 2 drive-in theaters in Odessa. Nice. I think we only have 1 here in Oklahoma City. Am I wrong on that? We used to have a bunch.
I think that's, what is it called? I can't remember what it's called.
The Winchester.
It's been years since I've been to the Winchester.
They are doing gangbusters business. I mean, even before this local stuff, they were doing articles and stories on how well the Winchester was doing, just because they, it's just something fun to do. You can take the family, and apparently the food prices and stuff are pretty reasonable. And Mike says Inception and Tenet as a double feature. I'm in. That would be super awesome, actually. Walt says last time he was at the Coyote, he saw X-Men Apocalypse and Independence Day 2.
Man, Walt, did you want your time and money back? Please, sir, can I have my life back?
We would be so happy to go see those now.
You would be better off sleeping, Walt, than watching that Dredd.
Wow. All right. Oh, we got one more comment. Jamie
thought it was
she
closed.
Thought the Winchester's closed. The Winchester's open. It's running. What was the last thing we saw on it?
E.T.
John? E.T. There it is.
1982.
Yep, they were playing E.T. Just one feature, E.T.
Is it currently open?
Yes.
Or is it just okay? Yeah,
Yes.
It's still showing E.T.
Like Thursday through Sunday, maybe something like that.
According to what I'm seeing here on the interweb, like I said that like an old man, E.T. is showing tonight at 8:50 at the Winchester.
Tonight.
Yeah, that's what it says.
Tuesday night.
We're officially in summer. They run every day.
Okay. E.T. E.T.'s not enough to get me out. I'm sorry. But
yeah, that's a movie I'll never want to see again.
Almost that said that to Shawn a few days ago.
They played Jaws, I believe, last week.
Gary says, now Jaws, I would conceivably go see. I wish that they were doing a double feature. 2 films would be cool.
They're probably only playing what they're allowed to play.
Yeah. Gary says he wishes they put some money into the Winchester. They're doing okay, but they're probably not doing that okay. It probably is like going to the drive-in theater in the 50s.
the original owner passed a few years ago, and
Right.
there was a big deal about ownership because I want to say he willed it to the actual employees with the consent of the family.
That's pretty cool.
And I may have read the story wrong. Don't quote me. It's been a while. But yeah, they've been doing as much as they can financially to add improvements and to make it more viable again. This current world event may actually help them do that.
I'm doing house cleaning here while you guys are talking, so I'm not paying attention.
All right. We're used to that.
We're going to what are you watching
I'm
or
used to
reading
that.
or playing right now? I'm trying to get this. I'm not going to be able to do it. It's not enough time. I'm not that smooth. Let's go to Shawn.
We've always said you're rigid. You're not smooth, dude.
What can I say? Shawn, you're up on what you're watching, reading, or playing right now.
Haven't been watching anything really. Just been working on commission stuff. Although I received from a Kickstarter, I received the complete edition of Hero Bear.
Say that again, Shawn, because
Yeah,
on my perspective, you had the biggest glitch in the world. Like the
Me too.
Matrix didn't want you to mention whatever it was.
Right, so it's probably really important.
It's the complete collection of Hero Bear.
Shawn, it did it again. I don't think the internet wants you to say what you did. Could you say that one more time? I'm just really messing with you.
Now he's messing with you. Hero Bear.
Okay.
I can't believe that the Matrix doesn't want you to say Hero Bear.
I saw this big collection. It is sweet.
That is a Bible of a book. I'm really looking forward
You
to that.
should have played Show and Tell. Where's the visuals, man? This is on video.
It's in the other room, still in the box.
Whatevs. Is that it? That's all you got, Hero Bear? All right, Scott. Let's see if
You come to the man with full of visuals.
Right.
First, Marvel.
You're full of something.
Yeah, I know. They had a series called Empire, which is like a big Avengers,
I
Fantastic
like those
Four.
covers, man.
Well, these are like variant covers, so they're not as. I like them, but they're not like exciting, maybe to grab your attention with the full team fighting. It's I read the first 2 issues last night. It's the Kree, it's the Skrulls. They're reunited by this one like new king, and they're coming to Earth. And I've read 2 issues, and I think it sucks so far. So I read issue 0, and I predicted exactly what I thought was going to happen by like issue 8 or 6 or however long this is, and it happened in the first issue. So like I've lived long enough where like these tropes and stuff you see in pro wrestling and everything, like you kind of get used to some of this stuff. But the art is very nice. I'm not saying the story's bad. I just saw where it was going, and it's just okay. I'm more excited to talk about Walt last week brought up the comics by Allegiant Arts at Walmart. And once he did that, I was like, I got to go find out what these things are. Yeah. So I felt like a young kid again when we used to go get comics at the gas station or at the, like one store across town would carry these books, but another
Some
store
people don't
wouldn't.
know what you're talking about.
I understand. There was I grew up in a town called Choctaw here in Oklahoma, just outside of Oklahoma City, and me and Robert Henry would walk up to this Save a Stop gas station, and it particularly on their magazine and comic racks had things called Kung Fu Warriors, which was a magazine format book that sold like had ads for like ninja stars and swords, and then they had little comics in them in black and white. They also had Continuity Comics, which was a comic company, done by Neil Adams.
Yeah.
And there was that's the only place we could find those books. And they were like, at the time, overly priced at $2 each. And we would collect our quarters, or sometimes we would walk the parking lots looking for change so we could go buy these comics.
Right.
And, after a few hours, you can walk through enough parking lots to find up, enough money to go buy these comics and stuff. So going to Walmart to find these comics kind of brought some excitement to myself. I put my little mask on and I walked my little fat butt around and looking for these comics. And I mean, the big gem at going to like, a magazine rack or somewhere at a gas station is to try to find a good copy, because they're all either bent or scuffed or whatever. Long story short, I found them. I tried to remove the stickers, because they had stickers on the cover, like Walt was saying. That's the big no-no on them. Supposedly, issue 3 will not have stickers on them. I tried to remove the stickers with the slow and steady approach. I got some of them with no stickers off, and then they had the stickers are cheap Walmart stickers. So the top layer will come off, and then you have the residue stickiness. So my advice is, if you pick these books up, you're just going to have to accept that this is how they are and leave the sticker. It's like, I remember being a kid in Pennsylvania when I first started reading comics. I went into this bookstore that had comics on the rack, but they put the dates on them. Hand wrote the dates on the comic cover. I wish I would have picked up some of those books, because I think even in that condition, they'd be at least valuable to me. Like I missed out on stories because I was like, oh, they're in terrible condition. So I'm going to go through those really quick. And I know all this has already been really long. Walt told us that he read Bass Reeves, which was the Lone Ranger type, Western story, but based off issues. Issue 1 and 2. I picked up 1 and 2 of all the books because I found them. I read them. I started with Bass Reeves. I thought this was a good book. I think the art's good. I think the story's pretty good. I think the art and story don't fit. I think it's still good. I'm going to buy issue 3.
You're saying they hired the wrong artist to go with the story?
I'm saying out of all the 4 books I read, and I read all 8 books, issues 1 and 2 of each series. I read them all back to back. So I read Bass Reeves first, and I read it, and I was like, oh, this is pretty good. I don't think the art and the story fit. They're both separately good, but they don't fit as well as they could. Sometimes they just don't sync. The next book I read was, I believe, The Futurist, and this is the one with Jackson Geis art in it.
Oh, okay.
Okay. This is written by a guy named Patrick Stiles. Issue 1, the good news is every book, issue 1 was good, and then the next issue it got better to me. Futurist turned out to be really a good, solid book too, and I'm presenting these to you in the order of how much I like them. None of them were bad. None of them I won't say I won't buy issue 3. Next book is Red Rooster. I sub this one up as like a 1930s Captain America type superhero book.
Scott, didn't you have a character that was named similar to the Red Rooster?
He was named the Rooster, yes. And it pains me. Totally different type of characters.
Many years ago, role playing. All right, carry on. Please carry on.
So Red Rooster, I think it's interesting because it's set in like the 1930s. The Futurist is set in like 1866. And of course, Bass Reeves is like, the late 1800s, right?
So they're not really connected.
They're not connected at all. The last book and the best one of the series is Nora's Saga.
Okay.
It's written by, I just recently found this out. The writer is Blake Northcott. I just found out recently that's a female, which makes sense because this is a story about like a teenage girl and stuff like that. So it was well written. I was like shocked that a man wrote a female so well. And then Kelsey Shannon did the art. It was really good too. It was so good that I took these books, I gave them to Jennifer to read. I said, at least try these 2. She was really high in Nora's Saga. She was so on The Futurist, but Nora's Saga I made my children read. they were mad at me because I was making them read because I took away from their precious TikTok time of 10 minutes. But she read it and came back and said, "Oh, this was really good, actually. I guess I'd read the next one." And I said, "Okay, here you go. Here's number 2." But Dad, I was like, "Shut up! It took you 10 minutes."
Right.
So she went and read it. And she really liked it, despite Comicsgate or anything else like out there. I don't know any of that stuff, so I don't have any like background besides I had the excitement that Walt gave me of saying, like, I found these at Walmart. They're exclusive to Walmart. I know my friend Gary went out to search for these books. I don't like paying $5 each for a book, but I really think $5 is where the industry is going to go, especially with all the recent disease stuff.
What time is it?
I mean, all those Empire books are $5, I think, each, anyways.
Yeah, dude. I mean,
and most Marvel specials are. I really enjoyed all of them. I think Bass Reeves was, unfortunately, maybe the worst of them. But if I'm still buying number 3, it wasn't a bad comic. So I'm excited to find them. I went out and I enjoyed them enough that I went out and bought another copy with the sticker on, and I just didn't take them off because my other copies have this sticky, gummy cover that I don't even want to put, I don't want to put it in my collection because it's just going to gum up the other covers. So those are my loaner copies. So if anybody wants to try these books, I have them where you can take them and go read them and see if you enjoy them. It was fun looking for comics in an exciting, different way. I mean, it's not, I don't want to do that with all my comic books. But it was it just reminded me of when I was a kid and the excitement of going and finding an issue that was in like really good shape and you buy it and stuff. So I would highly recommend at least trying them out. I don't know if they're going to make it though. I mean, like, you're in Walmart, I don't think your audience is your kids, and that's where these are. These are like in the young readers section. I just don't see my kids wanting to read about 1966 India or 1866 India or the old cowboy marshal or a 1930s superhero. So, I think the Norris saga is probably the strongest of the books to meet success. But I mean, they're all written like season 1s with episode 1 and 2. That's how they're calling their issues. So they could end these things in, 4 issues and say, "Oh, we always meant to do it that way."
Right.
Bass Reeves is probably the one written the most where like every issue, like issue 1 was definitely a one and done. If we never do another one, you don't need to. Issue 2 was written more like we're going to continue and continue and continue. So
we've talked about this subject for 2 weeks, but we don't have a lot of background on this. What is the comic book company strategy here, and what is Walmart's strategy? It's very strange that they have aligned themselves as the exclusive distributor of a line of comics. Well,
all I know is like some of these comics were already produced through Kickstarter. Like there was a Kickstarter campaign for some of these books.
Okay.
I'm going to be real frank and honest. Once I started finding out they had all this extra history, I just didn't even care. I was kind of like, I've read enough. Some of these books were done through Kickstarter. I guess some of the people in the world are kind of pissed off because like they're still waiting for their Kickstarter, and some of these books are available to the public through Walmart.
They're at Walmart.
Right. But,
I'd be mad about that too.
You're going to get a copy with no sticker on it. So
right. Well, that's a bonus.
Some guy suggested that maybe the sticker versions will be worth more, and who knows.
I feel
I don't know enough. I don't know enough, and really, I don't care. It's kind of like what Tony Radford earlier. Like if they're making comics and I like to read them, I think that's just what I'm gonna stick to doing. I'll give every issue another shot for sure. And since it looks like they only come out every 2 months, because the next issue is not scheduled to release until September, according to what the ads say in the comics, then it gives me a small reason to maybe go pick up some bananas at Walmart and grab a comic book, I mean, that's just the truth. So that's what I've been reading.
Let's get some comments out here that people from way back when Shawn was talking had some things to say. Maryann says, as far as what she's reading or watching right now, she's drawing her 2-piece thumbnails there. Mike Kennedy says he loves Hero Bear. So there you go.
Speaking of Mike Kennedy, he told me about a show called, he called it Generation Cool. Well, the show's actually called Slobby's World. It's on Netflix. It has like one season. And he told me that this guy's you, Scott. He's like, this guy was just Scott. It reminds me of Scott. And I watched it and I made Jennifer watch an episode and she's like, this guy's really annoying. She's like, I don't think those guys know you as well as I do. I said, or I'm just really annoying and you're just used to it.
Tony says, is the hero bear, is he an escaped Care Bear?
No, not at all.
Mike says Kunkel is awesome. Is that one of the?
That's the guy who does.
Things?
That's the guy who does it.
Okay. Walt is watching regular show.
Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing.
And Close Enough.
Oh no, he's watching Close Enough. New show, Close Enough.
Oh,
the guy who made regular show, his new show. I didn't know he had a new show.
So. I didn't either. Kennedy says he's watching Third Rock from the Sun. Maryann says, I feel like the art in the Bass Reeves comic should have had more spaghetti Western feel, but the art is great, regardless.
Yeah, that's what I said. I told either Gary or Jennifer, or maybe both, like if the art in the Bass Reeves is very stylistic, almost in a cartoony way, like if it was a superhero,
right,
or a kid superhero or anything like that, it would fit better than the Western feel. And drawing Western stuff's not easy, so like you have to have a certain artist who can really capture that style. It's not bad. It's not enough to make me quit the book, but I think it's going to struggle because of that. I mean, I know Gary wanted all the books except for the Bass Reeves book, and it probably was because of the art.
Ronnie would like for us to go for 3 or 4 hours by bringing up another topic. He says, have any of you ever tried to make a movie or comic book prop? I love making props, so I was just curious.
No,
now,
I have not.
Why is he asking us that question? It's like he sees us every damn week.
Well,
you know what we're doing, Ronnie. It's not like we have a secret lair where we create comic props.
No, I do not. I let the real artists do that, Ronnie, and that is you.
There it is. Yeah, I don't do 3D art in general.
Yeah.
I do 2D art.
Yeah.
I've attempted stuff in the past, but I never really got into it.
I'm more of a conceptual guy. Maryann has made a video game prop before, and it's really fun to do. Kennedy says that the guy is not annoying.
Character.
He's just boisterous. That is the line that he's drawn between the two of you. Is
okay. Well,
boisterous.
Maybe there's that because it's a show. It reminds, like Jennifer summed it up. It's kind of like Pawn Stars,
the loud whisperer,
for 1980s and 1990s memorabilia.
All right. Jennifer says, I also said I could see what he was talking about because Scott is also outgoing and interactive, especially about stuff he's passionate about.
Yeah.
And Mike backs that up. That's where he was. That's what he was thinking. All right. As far as my stuff, what I want to say is that over the past, 4 or 5 days, over the weekend and stuff, I really, really enjoyed what Comic-Con was putting out. I watched a lot of those things. You can see it at youtube.com/user/Comic-Con. And, if you're into what you're watching right now, which is a bunch of geeky stuff, they had access to a lot of the, big dogs, like whatever, Nathan Fillion and, Zack Snyder and some of the other people that are big. Plus they did all of their, smaller stuff. They had plenty of stuff for independent comics and artists and writers and just about every possible subject that you could imagine. They were really on top of all of that. It was very much like going to San Diego Comic-Con, except, it was not, unfortunately, it was not live. And I think that, some people, there've been some articles where they were bagging on those. What they did is they compared the amount of mentions on Facebook and on Twitter in past years versus the mentions they got this year. And, obviously if you're seeing this stuff live and you can interact with people and they're doing the big, Hall H stuff, like with Marvel, where they have, the big stars show up and they make big announcements and they make they have a big hoopla stuff going on. Yeah, you're going to have a lot more tweets and a lot more Facebook posts and a lot more, talking about that subject. But if you can excuse that for a minute, and the fact that for whatever reason they didn't do it live, I don't know why they didn't do these things live. What they did provide was a lot of super great content that wouldn't exist otherwise if they hadn't done this. And I think in the future, we're probably going to see an amalgam of this. I think that maybe if they're smart, they will next year, hopefully they will be live. You'll be able to physically go to Comic-Con, and instead of doing canned panels, maybe they will set it up so that you can see live broadcast of those panels, because, why not? Why not live broadcast those things? If Marvel doesn't want you to do that because they have some footage or something they don't want to get out to the public, or, they want to keep some of it special, I suppose that's fine. But some of these panels, would have been more interesting if you could have talked to people live like you can us here, and the mistakes were captured live, and they were talking about current events and that sort of stuff. So hopefully next year they will do that. I want to specifically talk about one particular thing that they had on there, which was a video with Brian Pulido, who used to do Chaos Comics and is now doing something like Coffin Comics, which apparently he is, instead of soliciting through Diamond, he's doing Kickstarters like everyone else, and apparently he's doing pretty good, with that plan. He did about a 50-minute routine where he talked about what it takes, and this is high level stuff. This is not, it's not specific things. He's talking in generalities, what it takes to be successful as an independent comic book company. And I thought it was really insightful, and it was exactly the sort of thing that you don't get a lot in the comic book industry. People who do, who are writers or artists or stuff, get a lot of attention. Wolverine gets a lot of attention, Batman gets a lot of attention, but when you want to talk about the nuts and bolts of running a comic book company or publishing stuff or whatever, that stuff is not out there as much. So it was really nice to see, and I'm not going to get the link on there, but I would encourage you to look on YouTube, go to the Comic-Con International page, and look for the Brian Pulido episode that he did, because it's well worth your 50 minutes if you want to do independent comics. It's got a lot of good advice there from a guy who's been in the business for a good long time and is still kicking. So I think that's pretty cool. Also, in addition to that, Tom King has been in the news quite a bit lately. I happened to read his Batman comic from, 2015 or 16. The reason why I picked that up on Comixology, by the way, it's not a physical copy, or I'd be holding it up right now. The reason why I read that is because it was drawn by David Finch, and I've told you how much I like David Finch. David Finch was amazing, and whatever you think about Tom King, and he owes some people some apologies. I liked the Batman story he did. I read a full arc. It was a graphic novel and stuff. I liked the story that he had, and to follow that up, I have read a couple of issues of the 2006 Moon Knight series, again with Finch. He did Moon Knight, and you can see how he has evolved over time. His stuff looked a lot. It was inked by Danny Meeke, and you could see that kind of image look to it. And now his stuff is a little bit more, standard Marvel or DC, I would say, but you could see his origins on there, and he draws a pretty cool Moon Knight. So there's that. Let's see. What is... We've got Ronnie asking what the prop was. She says it was the Bloodborne saw cleaver. Hello. Did it in 6 hours. That's pretty cool. Doing it for cosplay. Ronnie says that's cool. Walt says you could charge on the Comic-Con deal. That's not a bad idea necessarily. And Mike says that was a great Moon Knight series. So far, it's been really good. It's been a lot better than what I expected. They started out kind of like a standard comic, and then they showed that some bad stuff has happened to Moon Knight, and obviously something pretty crazy is going to happen here. I've left it, I think, on about issue 2. So far, it's been really good. It has been good. Ronnie wants to know who we're going to have as a guest next week. Not sure, man. Walt's telling us that we only need 26 more subscribers. We had 26 at the beginning of the show. No one is subscribing. Get out there. Go to
make
the
some
YouTube
fake accounts,
channel.
Walt. Go make some fake accounts, dude.
Could we get some bots over there to subscribe or something for heck's sake? Scott, you asked me something in the deal. Go ahead and bring it up. Now's a good time as any.
All right. So we talked last week about the passing of our friend Steve Martin, and all this weekend, all of us during these crazy times wore our masks and we went to the service. And while that's never a fun time at all, I think the greatest gift that somebody can give you when they pass away is like you're reminded that your time is limited, and to enjoy time. I'm not saying you screw it off because you're just supposed to enjoy it, but just cherish the times you have left because you don't know when your story ends. Steve's service was, I guess I should say that I went to a close friend's funeral last year. I did not feel satisfied, and I know they don't put on funeral services to make Scott Prime leave happy, but you know, when you know somebody, there's a certain something you want, or
you want them to be captured,
right? Or you leave going like, that was good, but they don't know, like, there's so many good stories about this person that you don't know. Steve's dad was there, and he talked for probably 20 minutes, and it was amazing. And the guy has iron stones to get up there and talk about your son. But
yeah, wow.
I shook
his hand because I was so touched and impressed with who he is and what he did.
He captured Steve well. He knew his son very, very well.
He did.
And you know, some of him getting up there and getting through that comes with some faith, because, you know, Steve while he was very raw, he also had a lot of interpersonal spiritual faith and stuff. So like, you know, and if that's how you believe, then, you know, Steve's in a better place. More than anything, I felt by the time it was all said and done, I felt pretty satisfied, you know. But I think there's some of us who maybe want to do a little bit more, because as I told one of his kids, you know, as we grow up and we start separating out and having our own family and having kids, you know, usually those first couple years when they're babies, you can spend more time with your friends because they're just babies. They sleep or whatever. You still have time. And then as they get older, you have to go to more activities, and you have to, you know, enjoy your children, and you can't enjoy your friends all the time because you have responsibilities. And I told Tristan, you know, like, there's times where I almost selfishly was like, man, I wish I got to see or hang out with Steve. But the truth is like, I got Steve when he could hang out more, and I'm glad that he spent all his time with his children where it mattered. Yeah. And, you know, selfishly, would I like to see Steve more? Sure. I'd like to see all my friends more, but there's not enough time in the day. But my point to all this rambling is you don't know when the end's going to happen. Nobody does. Enjoy your time. Make the best use of it as you can, and try not to fight with people and stuff. I know it's hard. There's a group of us who probably we've been pondering the idea of maybe getting together for people like Jim or Ronnie who knows Steve well. There's probably some more raw stories that we could share, and maybe more for an adult audience. But I think we're going to have a special episode of Taskforce Geek, maybe where we just sit in and tell a few of those stories without cursing or anything, maybe. But we'll do our best to just. All I know is if I died tomorrow, I hope you guys would tell my kids some things that they'll never know about me. And whether that's good, bad, ugly, or otherwise, there's always something to learn and laugh about, in everybody's story of life. So if you're out there, and if you're Mike Kennedy or Jim Lane, all people who, Steve's worked under, Ronnie, who was really close to him, and there's plenty of others. Walt worked with him as well on some rough cut stuff. If you're out there and this interests you, and maybe you have a story you want to tell and maybe could do it without crying your face off, like we're going to try. Okay. It's not required, but we're going to probably in a few weeks do something like that and just celebrate the life of Steve, because it's very much worth celebrating, and just trickle these things down to his kids. I got feedback from his wife who watched the show with the kids, and they said they just giggled and laughed and they cried. And she said we did a really good job. So that's a good feeling when somebody can tell you made me smile and laugh during a sad time. So
Mike Kennedy says Steve's service was a proper memorial to his life. Steve's dad did an amazing job. That's for sure. If you are listening and you know Steve and you have a story that you want to share, get in touch with one of the three of us here on this. You can get in touch with us through Facebook, or most of you who would have a story have a direct line to us. You can call us or email us. If you don't have a direct line to us, you can contact us at taskforcegeek@gmail.com. What I'm going to do is use this platform right here. We're going to, we can take up to 10 people at a time. We won't have 10 people on the screen, but we can have 10 people in the room, and we will invite someone to tell their story, and then we will rotate them back out, and then we'll bring the next person in, and we'll go for as long as it takes to tell their stories.
And if you have the funds, to donate, you can see the link below. Nobody's rich enough to prepare for somebody to go away, because it's expensive.
No, this was not.
And any help that you can give, whether it's $5 or $50, is appreciated. So if you can do it and you feel like you want to, whether you knew him or not, you click the link below. And if not, we understand too. So it's all appreciated.
Yeah. So we'll talk about it again, but get in touch with it. If you got a story, get in touch with one of us, and we'll give you the link to participate in this thing. Promo time. Let's do it.
Promos.
Yep.
Subscribe to Taskforce Geek on YouTube. How's that for a promo?
Now I'm out of
You're
focus.
out of focus, dude.
I know, dude. I
got glaucoma.
I got an old,
which is possible.
It could happen. Sean, what do you got, man?
Still working on commissions. Be sure to check out the website ringkingstudios.com, and also go to Facebook at Ranking Studios and give us a look over. Let us know what you think. You can contact us through the emails provided on there, and just give us a holler. Say hey.
There you go. Scott, what do you got?
I don't have anything, man. You can catch me on Facebook if you want. Still doing art commissions. You can catch me over at bothdown.com if you want to listen to a cool podcast where you hear my amazing voice monthly, if not multiple times a month. And that's all I got right now, man.
Wow. You guys are really pooping out.
When you get on here every week and you want to promo something, it's not like,
hey,
what am I going to promo?
Literally look at anything anyone does. The only way that it ever gets across to them is if you pound it into them. You got to keep saying
I'm pounding them into you. Pounding.
There it is, man. Okay, my thing that I actually have something new today. How about this? I started because Facebook has given me so much trouble with my old Facebook page. I killed it. It's dead. So in the place of the old, I have done this, which is facebook.com/Dirk Hooper Artworks. It's only artwork. I'm splitting the old page that I had was photography and artwork. I'm going to split those off. Right now, I'm doing art. I'm not doing photography. So I'm going to first start a Dirk Hooper Artworks, and I would like for all of you to join me there. I have 3 people that are following me. So, give me a break. Go check out my stuffs.
All right, I might do that.
Also, both of these guys said something about doing commissioned work and stuff. Something magical has happened over the last, let's say.
Have you become a man?
Over the past few months, or maybe the past few weeks, we've kind of been getting together and showing each other some artwork and doing some collaboration, even if it's not, direct collaboration. We have a project that all 3 of us are working on, along with Robert, which is cool. And Shawn showed the 2 of us a project that he was working on. It's kind of fun to see what your friends are doing and to be inspired by what they're doing, and to learn from them and move on to maybe being ready to do more work because your friends are doing work, kind of be inspired. So I think that's pretty cool. We're doing all of that through this Ranking Studios, which you can check out, and also the Facebook group. Once we have something to share, we'll share it on there, and of course we'll hawk it on here like the hoes we are. Let's see what this says. Walt says he's working on a catalog full of V-twin motorcycle parts. Wow.
Nice.
That sounds serious.
Walt's like a real man. He wants to work on motorcycles, cars. He wants Captain America's shield. He plays video games. He watches every show. I think Walt is multiple people.
You think Walt has cloned himself?
Yes, I think he's like Black Multiple Man. I mean, that guy, that's how Jamie Matrix gets everything done. Walt probably takes that as a compliment. Sean's shaking his head. But Walt, I love you. You're like a better version of me, and I've said this before.
Ronnie says he's doing elephant carving.
Like he's making
so he's carving elephants? Like actual elephants?
Maybe he roasted an elephant and is carving the meat.
He's carving a wood sculpture of an elephant.
Oh, it's a wood sculpture. It's not an actual elephant that he's carving.
No.
Because that would be rude.
Be very rude.
I know what Ronnie's doing. He shared pictures with us. He's carving wood elephants. Walt says he doesn't work on motorcycles. He just works on catalogs for motorcycle parts.
That's still more manly than anything.
Still a real man, though. Still a real man.
You're still a real. You like cars. You legitimately like cars and airplanes.
Yeah.
And I just want mine to start and have a radio.
That's mature.
So that's the difference.
He doesn't like bears that dress up like astronauts or some stupid shit like that.
I'm still the only person that hasn't really cussed on this show.
I know, I can't. I'm sorry.
And you were worried about me the most.
I know. You've been much better. I did it last week and this week. I've done it 2 weeks in a row. I don't know. I'm just in the mood for that. Do we have anything else that we want to say? Oh, I still keep getting comments here. Mike says, I finished the art for the next 2 Celtic Knights. Hey, there we go. Celtic Knights graphic novels. A story for an upcoming Oki Comics. Oh, I wanted to mention Oki Comics. And an illustration for Brain Freeze and getting ready for the school year.
Oh gosh. I have a character named Brain Freeze. This is going to make me mad if it's the same thing. It's for a children's comic when I
Wow.
teach comic art classes. I think a
That
story for another time.
that right there is the Facebook event for the Oki Comics Kickstarter that's going on. If you're not familiar, one of our buddies, Robert Henry, was in one of the first issues of Oki Comics. And what they're doing is they're asking for people to donate to keep it free, because basically if you live in Oklahoma City and maybe elsewhere, I don't know how far it goes, you can just walk into Garage Burgers or whatever and pick up an issue of Oki Comics, which is pretty cool. It has Oklahoma artists, it has Oklahoma subjects, and if you want to help support them, just like everyone else, they're having some financial difficulties. It's certainly a worthy cause. That is the place to go to. You can also just look up on Facebook, look up OKIE Comics and help them out. I'm going to try to interview one of the guys who's involved with that here soon. There's our names, if you don't know.
Get out of here. Now you're wasting time.
I'm doing that to grind Scott. I'm grinding Scott now.
You're
Maryann
like the
says,
kid who wants to stay in the pool, so you keep having excuses to get
I'm
back
having
in the
fun.
pool. Yeah,
I'm having fun. Maryann says she needs to get her personal project fleshed out. Mike Kennedy says that's cool. Maryann says she's starting to realize how hard it is to do it by yourself. You could get some friends to help you out. You don't have to do it all by yourself. I just talked about how great it is to have some friends that are doing some stuff that's, even if it's tangential to what you're doing, it can be good. It can be good motivation wise. And anyway, Mike says that Oki Comics is a good project. Oh, Mike did it too. Mike did at least, he's done a couple of stories, I believe, for Oki Comics, if I'm correct. And I could be behind the game there. He's done a couple of things really cool. All right, do you guys have anything else to add? It's time to wrap it up, I'm sure.
Oh, we're done. We're good to go, man.
All righty.
Do your little dream hard weird thing that you do.
All right. If I don't do it, people get mad.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
There'll be riots outside of the studio. Before we go, I want to mention that we're looking for guests for Taskforce Geek. If you're interested, please contact me at taskforcegeek@gmail.com. Most of the guests that we have on here are probably we're going to do individual interviews with those guests. And then if we really dig you, then we'll also have you on the big, long show that's getting even longer as we speak. If you have something to promote, even better. Visit us on the Quora Task Force Geek space, or on our new Facebook group, which is hopping right now. Thanks to everyone for watching this. Please leave a like or share wherever you see this. Don't just hear that and go on about your day. Please leave a like or share. We need your help. It's important. For Shawn and Scott, this is Dirk saying, dream hard.